and say that when you have a choice that is this clear, when on the one hand you have somebody who grew up like you, knows you, went to college with you, understands the struggles and pain and joy that comes from those experiences, who's had to work harder and do more and overcome and achieves the second highest office in the land and is putting forward concrete proposals to directly address the things that are vital in our neighborhoods and our communities.
I see dead people.
Yeah. Hey, listen, y'all make sure y'all get it in here as soon as possible tonight. There is a link if you want to join the show. There's a link in the description on Facebook. I'm sure probably on Welcome to Edge the podcast. Also, there's a link there if you want to join the show and add some commentary to what we're getting ready to talk about here tonight. I'm getting some feedback, and that's probably because all these lines are crossed up. Do I sound okay? If I sound okay, somebody please hit the like button. Let me know that I am coming across clearly, because that's definitely what I want to do. We got a lot to talk about tonight. And I just heard the beep. That means that the my co-host has just popped in. So let me go ahead and get him up here because he gonna get all this smoke with me tonight too.
Bring it.
It's built for it. You know what I mean? That's what we do over here at Welcome to Edge the podcast. So again, first, I want to thank everybody who has been listening, and all the new people coming over. Welcome. If you would like to support the podcast, you can visit the Welcome to Edge the podcast store. There's a link also in the description right there, where if you want to join the podcast, you can come on, go in there. We're going to be uploading and adding new things to the store here regularly, right now. So please just give me some feedback on what you think over there and that kind of thing. Something else I want to get out of the way before we get into this. But anyway, sir, welcome. And how are you? I know it's been a fast-paced week so far. How has things been going for you on the front down there in Andrews, South Carolina?
Fast paced is an understatement. I'm sending you a couple things that I think we probably need to touch base on before we get started. If you can get it in there.
Okay, absolutely.
Politics.
Absolutely.
I want to introduce the folks to some bright kids here in Andrews that has accepted the challenge of coming out and being a part of a newly formed track club here in Andrews, led by All-American Marcus Pope. And I'm just out there assisting a little bit, but I was very fortunate and honored to meet some kids a couple of days ago that when I introduced them to this concept that was about to kick off here, they were all for it. And that's basically establishing a track and field. It's called the South Carolina Palmetto Track Club. And so it's designed, again, to get our kids actively involved in some, positive things. And this is one of the, when I was talking to these kids, they happen to be a group of kids that ride, that they call the wheelers. I believe they call themselves the wheelers. And they do a lot of stunts with the bikes and stuff like that. We want to first of all, I want to get them in a safe environment because they're out there in the road. And so we want to get them out of the road and get them in a safe environment. And also was an opportunity to introduce them to this new track club, again, that's formed by myself, Mr. Pope, his mother, Tawana, and sister, Christy. All of us are athletes or former athletes and still have something to offer. So with Marcus being the expert in track and field and conditioning and those kind of things, we thought, we've talked about this for a while. And here we are. We kicked off today, so I'm dropping you a few photos of those kids, and the parents were involved. You know, they got them out there, and actually, the turnout today was the first one, and we had several kids, and you'll see them in some of the photos I just sent. What's going on, Miss McCormick? How's Columbia? I'm sorry I missed the trip, but you know we got to take care of business on this side. So I'll see you all soon. But that's so the photos you see popping up now is our first workout today. You'll see some of the kids. I'm about to drop some pictures to you that when I met them a few days ago, and they all signed up for. They say they'll be there. And they showed up, and they brought some of their friends, and it was a good turnout today, working with them. And then not only for track and field, but this is going to help them with agility, speed, and those things that they can apply in other sports that they're a part of. So just want to do that. Give them a big shout out. There they are. Now the football came in. Another couple of kids were back there. Wasn't a part of the initial conversation. They showed up and curious what was going on. So of course football is going to get their attention. But we had to refocus them because it was all about, again, track, speed, agility, discipline. As we told them, they can be a part of this club, but they're going to have to be an all-around student and a good kid at home and listen to the parents and those kind of things. And so we're trying to, again, address those things that we know that are not in the forefront of the kids' thoughts when they come out here to do things. So we want to keep them balanced, keep them active, and get them out here to compete in the classroom and on whichever field, court they desire to be in. And so we were fortunate. We have one young lady that already running high school track and field, and she was able to help them a little bit when they listen. Now they all have their own agenda right now, and so part of this thing here is the discipline to stay focused and to learn as much as they can from a guy who, again, not me, but a guy who has done this thing. That guy there, he's a world-class sprinter, hurdler, and was always interested in giving back to the community. And I think this is a great way to do that. So if you're interested, either hit myself up or Marcus Pope, and we'd be happy to have the kids in there. We only worked them out today for about a half hour. We got to teach them about stretching and ally stuff, all the good stuff that comes with being an athlete. And a lot of them are very talented. I mean, Councilwoman Amy Flegler, she's got, I think, her grandson and granddaughter. Absolutely. I mean, just pure athletes. This guy was doing flips and all kinds of stuff. So I think we're going to be able to expand on their little talent and get them out into arenas that they probably wasn't aware of. And so that's kind of our charge. All right. That's my plug tonight for our youth. And we got a lot of politics, and there's the politics. Now I know we do football on Saturdays, and I'll just say this, I brought this subject up to Mr. Jamal this morning because I got a little frustrated. I got to be honest with you, because there's all of this narrative around the black man voting or not voting, who's he going to vote for, those kind of things, and it just, I'm like, why is it just focused on black men? I said, what is this all about? And so I did a little research. The thing before, as that was going on, that narrative had been kicked around for a little while here in this presidential campaign. But the thing that really set me off is that I had a real funny guy in the neighborhood somewhere, decided to put 4 Trump signs, 50 feet from my house. And that's fine. It's in a public space, kind of, but I didn't think it was genuine. And it got me to thinking deeply about this because, I try to focus on the municipality and at the county level because those are the things that impact us the greatest. But, I don't take kindly to bullies, and I don't appreciate, the message that was being said. And I know clearly who it is. And so I respond kindly with, I have a few signs in my yard. So we just balance that out a little bit. But it really got me to thinking about how deep this political stuff is at that level and how it's affecting us down at the municipality, where it's got us now so divided. And I said, it's time for me to talk about it. And it's really, I'm really trying to understand why this thing has become down to a race and a gender. And at this particular time, it is, because not too often you hear anyone speak of the black men in a positive light in the media as a group. And so now I'm curious to why is it now that men of color are so important to these candidates, and what's really driving it? Who's behind it? And then is it pulling us together, or is it separating us? So I appreciate you taking that on today, and I know you have a perspective. You and I don't normally talk about national level politics.
Because I am a independent, right?
Hmm.
And I'm a true independent. Like I'm a Republican on some things. I'm Democratic. I just wherever the information takes me is where I go. Now, I'll say about the divide, and I'll speak specifically in Georgetown County. And this is why I spoke for months and months and months saying, hey guys, keep your eyes open, stay focused, because it's gonna heat up closer we get to November. And well, in Georgetown County, the Republican Party, now on a national level, there has been an effort to reach out to Black men, and on a national effort. There's a lot of conversations happening. There's a lot of this and that, and it still has the feel of uh, you know you're using me. I want to know what I'm getting. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mind being used, but I need to get something on the back end. And Georgetown County, there has been zero effort to, and it's not so much about pulling voters over, but hey, listen, let's open this political process up to both sides. So now here's what both sides offer, and there hasn't been there's been a pullback, and people were going into their corners and doing stupid stuff like that, because at this point along in this thing, I feel like people already know who they're going to vote for.
Most likely, I think so.
Well, pretty much.
There's a core of folks on regardless of what your gender, race. There's a core of folks that are still undecided. That's I think that's obvious. Let me make
Mhm.
one point to when we start to talk about the national level and county. So what's happening it's a difference. So at the national level, they're looking for votes. They're looking for
Mhm.
Black votes in this case of what we're talking about tonight. Black men specifically.
Mhm.
Um, has never really been and as far as I can remember, never even been a focal point up to this point. I have an opinion why that is. So they're looking for Black votes.
Mhm.
What's happening here in the county, they're not looking for votes. They're looking to fill seats. Think about it. They're looking to fill seats, and it's not necessarily, and it's a little quiet. It's not having a conversation in an open forum. So if you look at and again, I am a firm believer that your elected officials should represent the demographics of your community, whether it's a municipality, county, whatever the case may be. That is what's changing in Georgetown County. So if you take a look at, okay, Andrews is pretty balanced, 4-3. Two ladies, four or five gentlemen, and so we got to balance white, Black. You look at Georgetown, what has happened in the last election. Georgetown County has now we're nonpartisan. The city of Georgetown is a partisan government. So
Mhm.
you have 7 elected officials. I think, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 are women, 1 Black woman. Everybody else is Caucasian. I don't think that's a representation of Georgetown County, but that is what the people of Georgetown, the city of Georgetown, elected. That was their choice.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's their
elections have consequences. Butch, what's up, brother? This is Mr. Butch Kennedy, guys. He gonna introduce himself. I just popped him right in because Butch is swift on his feet. But that's where the phrase elections have consequences. So
Yeah. So,
if
and
you
I'll
don't
finish. And
show up,
yeah, go ahead.
go
And
ahead.
I'll shut up. But so then you see, there's a difference. And then the thing is that you want to have representation of your community. Again, that's something that the city of Georgetown need to address. I'm just recognizing where it is now. With this county council election that's coming up, there's a potential that it could be one African American and everybody else is Caucasian.
Wow.
Yes, and then it will be one Democrat and all the rest of them are Republicans. That could happen if District 3, District 3 will have an impact on that, in District 4. That's the old seat for the Ms. Lily Jean and the one that Everett Carolina held. So that's my point. I came, and understanding my background, I don't wear these hats for nothing. I came from an organization that is have its challenges, but it is very diverse. When I'm out there on that battlefield or anywhere else fighting, all I need to know is that whoever's to my left or right, in front of me, behind me, is on the same team. They cover my 6, 3, 12, 9, whatever the case may be. That's how we operate. That's what I'm accustomed to. So when I see the imbalance that we have right now, it says, okay, people, what are we doing? What are we doing? And why can't we get interested in elections and then make sure that your community is represented based on how it's laid out? That's Frank McClary's concern on that shift. Now we'll talk about the black men. We can hear from Mr. Butch Kennedy.
Go ahead, Mr. Butch. Yes, sir. This is Mrs. Butch Kennedy. I don't have no props in front of me. But go ahead and introduce yourself, sir, and let everybody know about your organization, and then let's get into this conversation. Butch is another brain, another strong black man that we forming like Voltron right now. He call us out, and here we come. Let's go.
So yeah, my name is Butch Kennedy. I'm actually the founder and CEO of Palmetto Hope Network, and I walked in on a conversation that we don't have very often in our community, right? So that's why I'm glad to hear this conversation. I think this is something that we need to vet as a community. Our community, why aren't we well represented in our own communities? And that's because a lot of us don't show up to vote. We don't show up to the polls, man. So why is that? I think we need to investigate that. Why are our people feel disenfranchised from that vote? Right? Whether it is going to the polls and being given the run around at the polls, or just feeling like they don't have anything to vote for. You know what I mean? So I think this is an important topic, man. I'm just glad that I walked in on the tail end of this one here, man. Let's sit down and get my popcorn ready. I'm ready for this one.
No doubt. And to like what you were saying, Mayor. Both of what you guys were just saying is, what is it that, and I'm about to give my analysis, my opinion, my unofficial opinion of what is causing the disenfranchisement, like things that I've seen. I think we've become jaded as a people in educating people as to why it is the vote. Like the mayor said, a lot of times we just want to fill a seat. So bring the bodies, let's fill a seat. But how deep do these conversations go? Like, so when we register this kid to vote, what is the conversation that we have with these people to vote? And when they come, again, I would walk away feeling like crazy. Like, I just checked the box. You know what I mean? And I don't even know who these people are. So I see why it can be easy. I understand. That's my opinion as to why it's so easy for people to for brothers, and that's who we're talking about tonight, to just like, man, listen, you know what? That ain't got nothing to do with me.
Wow.
And we couldn't be more wrong.
Yeah.
It all has something to do with all of us. And I say that first of all, we have to take individual responsibility, regardless of who you vote for. First thing is you understanding the importance of it. And then understanding that if you don't vote, exercise your right, you can, but then if you don't, then whatever comes in the next 4 years, it's your fault, whether you voted or not. If you don't vote, and then someone that gets in there that is taking your city, your town, or your county or country in a direction that you're not okay with, you got to know that you played a role in that.
Yes.
By not voting.
And what not before we even get to the voting, by not engaging the process, by not engaging the people these people are literally taking money out of your pocket. They making laws and rules that you gotta live by, that can affect your property value, that can affect your children, anything. And we have, that's the thing. You got to take that first interest. You don't have to be, CNN all in it all the time, but you got to engage.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the difficult part, right, man? Because in our communities, a lot of us are not engaged, especially a lot of young Black men are not engaged in that process, and a lot of us feel, why? What difference does it make, right?
There you go.
I mean, so what? We got a Black president. Nothing's changed since we had the first president, right? The president before
bro,
that.
that's
What's
what
really
I said to that larger video.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why I kind of laser focused this thing and kind of backed away from that national politics, because on in Andrews, South Carolina, in Orangeburg, South Carolina, it does matter, okay? Because these votes come down to 20, 30 people. And again, if you're not out front doing what you're supposed to be doing, getting informed, and that person gets in, even if you do vote.
Right.
Yes,
there was a race. There was a Senate race in Charleston where one representative lost by under 20 votes. So you're right, man. Your vote counts. Your voice matters, man, and every voice matters.
Yeah, there's a good friend of mine. He his first time he ran, it was different city out, different county. They call him landslide.
Mm-hmm.
We called him landslide because he won by one vote.
Wow.
And he's got the nickname of landslide. So it does matter. But and I would, again, let's caveat this thing a little bit. Mm-hmm. It's not just voting, not just be an informed voter. Learn not just the candidate, but what are the issues affecting your family, your town, whatever the case may be. Know what you're voting for, as opposed to a skin color, a gender, or gender is what I should say. No, beyond that. Get beyond. Let's remove all of that, because again, at the national level, it certainly is. The two candidates that are running, one's male, one female, one Black, one white. So let's get beyond that. I'm with you at the local and the county level. I'm all over that. But there's a bigger issue that irritates me right now, and it's focused on guys like the three of us, and why. Now, I want to know why, and I think I know one of the whys is that because this race is so tight that now when you do the analysis, you will see who does not traditionally vote. How do we break this tie that is happening right now in this race? It's the Black guy that doesn't vote.
Which puts us in a great position. I like being in a position like that. I like to be needed. And then but it's now we need to be able to leverage this.
Well, I say, but I apologize. I say this: let's be needed all the time.
Yeah,
and how we
are.
And how we do that, we be involved in things that matters all the time. I don't want to show up at a race like these kids, show up today and they're ready to race. You ain't ready because you're not trained. You don't know how to run. So let's be involved early on. I'm talking about in age, not in an election cycle, because then you set yourself up to be somebody's fool
every time.
That's what's happening right now, and that's an insult to me.
Hey man, a million. They said they got $1 million startup, a $20,000 startup for $1 million. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, that kind of thing is like it's an insult.
No.
It is.
What's crazy to me? What's crazy to me is you got a man, right, running against a woman, right? This man has 20 plus women lined up saying that he's molested them or sexually accosted them. He's been impeached twice by the House. He's a convicted felon.
34 times.
And it's a tight race. I mean, to me, it's almost laughable, man. What country do we live in, right? How could you?
America. It's been this way. It's gonna be this way.
Here's where the rubber hits the road for me, man. If you are American, you're a true patriot, and you love this country, how could you vote for a person that incited a riot on this country? I mean, this person attacked our democracy, and he incited that attack on our democracy. How can we support that? I don't understand not only how we cannot support that, but how we can't run to the polls and try to make sure that he's not back in there to do it again. I think we have a duty, right?
I'll tell you how.
Okay, tell me
when you start to dig, like when you sit in a room like this that I'm in, and you start digging into things, and you start learning about FOIAs, and a lot of brothers have developed a complete distrust for the media, right? Because they've lied consistently. They've engaged in what's called manufactured consent. So they'll play this long game with us to where you really thought you were for that when they just did the drip method on you and did a propaganda piece on you, and they repeat things. Let me get to my point though. You brothers don't know who to trust right now. We find ourselves in this political game again, like you say, in this hour. Now we are the tiebreaker, and so
we might not know who to trust, right? But through history and through the past, we know who not to trust, right? So I mean, the record speaks for itself, man. In my opinion, I mean, he is who we think he is, right? So
the thing is, why are we? I mean, we're doing it right now. Why are we talking about black men like we're some aliens? We have the same. Oh man, excuse my. Yeah, we have the system is right there for us to learn. We have to get engaged. Don't talk about.
They're not hiding anything.
It's.
I need to be on YouTube. It's the programming now, man. It's the programming, and again, a lot of brothers are turned off because if we walk down, brothers are into policy now. Like, and I'm talking about down the line policy. You take, for example, right now, there's something. This is why I kind of backed away from the ESPNs and a lot of the larger sports, because they pick and choose what they want to fight and battle about right now, right? And then we're finding ourselves in a space that when we stand up, like, so you stand up on certain positions, and it puts you in a bad place. Case in point, there's a thing going on over on the West Coast right now with San Jose State. There's a transgender player who has caused 4 teams so far to forfeit games, and I think the rest of the schools are forfeit. This story has never hit ESPN, and this is brothers are looking at this kind of thing and saying, okay, well, my daughter is, I don't want to be insensitive, but and then we're looking at, again, all of this it's a lot's happening in the culture, and it's happening really fast. So I'm trying to give you an answer as to why brothers are disengaged with this political process. Go ahead.
I believe it's as simple as this. We're not engaged, because that situation you're talking about in San Francisco, where the transgender person is competing with on female sports, I totally disagree with that. I believe now there's a lot going on when you start talking about different groups and race also. That, to me, if that's your choice, that's your choice. God bless you. I don't have any issues with it. But it is physically, it puts them at an advantage and put the young ladies at a disadvantage. That should not happen at all. Now, if that's the way you want to live your life, then that's so be it. Let folks do what they need to do. But when it comes down to changing, restrooms and allowing people, no. No, that none of that is okay with me. Do not put our young ladies at risk or at disadvantage for a personal decision. That's my thing on that. But if that's what you choose, then that's I'm fine with that. But do not change the laws.
And that's what's happening.
Right? Yeah, that's wrong.
Yeah,
That's
I,
where,
I
that's
think
where I draw the line.
I don't think they're engaged because they don't feel like their voice matters. I think we're not engaged because we don't feel like what's the difference whether we engage or not. There's no value. We place no value on our vote. I think the community doesn't think that my one vote is going to change the outcome of this election. And if they thought that way, I think they'd be more apt to vote. But I just think that we have a large segment of people that and men and women, right, that don't vote simply because they don't think it matters, right? They don't think that their voice really matters. We live in a Republican state, right? So 9 times out of 10, whoever's Republican is going to win within this state, right? But for the majority rule, right, we want to make sure that we come out and we support. Our ultimate goal is to flip the state blue. But, in order to do that, we have to give people a reason why you vote. They didn't think Georgia would be turned blue either, but it did.
But let me ask you this then, because all three of us vote.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you vote? Why do you think it's important?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I think just like Jamal says, policy is everything, right? So I think it's important because of the way I was raised. Right. My grandfather was one of the ones who fought to vote, man. I was a little kid, like 4 or 5 years old, and watching my grandfather, who was part of the NAACP, fight to get people to vote. Right. And he's always told me, man, and every time I go into the booth, I remember him telling me how important my vote is and how important my voice is. I mean, if you don't vote, you have no voice. You might as well be silent. So then, just like Jamal said earlier, there are consequences for our action and our consequences for us not voting. Right. So, and that's simple as a consequence. Right. The reason why food is so high now is the consequences of voting.
So, and I think so. You hit on something key then. This is something, as I said earlier, you can't wait now. You can, but if you have not been a part of your education, upbringing, and someone talking to you about these things and showing you importance now, once you get up in to a certain point in life or place, then you don't. Now, it's not too late, because if you listen to what we're talking about now or any other conversation, and again, educate yourself. Look at data. Like as Jamal said earlier, we don't have to listen to CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, none of those places to learn. It's in the book. You got Google, and you got all this stuff out there to inform you.
All of
and so you got to believe in something. You got to believe in something that's written. Look at the patterns, analysis of what's going on. And then if that doesn't waken something in you, said it's important, then maybe you're just lost on this case. Maybe it can use you in another arena. But you can't sit and tell me that it's not important if you can't tell me why and what you have done to inform yourself as to why it is not important. We're taking an easy route out by saying, nah, that's not important, man. It's not going to change anything. How do you know that?
And that's it. They don't know. And that's why I'm so big on like what you're doing, getting your hands on these kids early. Because if they don't get interested in that process, a lot of times you catch them on the back end after they done got older, you feel what I'm saying? Whereas we need to be building these warriors now, you know what I mean?
Right.
We really need to be building these warriors now. So, because if we teach them what's important, then they'll understand. You feel what I'm saying? But again, we have to do this. We cannot rely on the schools because they haven't done it to this point. Yeah. We can't rely all of this other traditional, funding. This is things that grassroots, like you picking these guys up today, starting this organization, doing this is that's it. There's the cavalry is not coming.
And when you're not informed, I don't care what it is, you're easily manipulated.
Easily.
Okay. Now you become the national conversation because those who are looking for your votes know that you're not engaged. So what do? They dangle this carrot in front of you. It could be some stimulus. It could be this, just to get your vote, because they know you're vulnerable.
Mm.
You don't know how to, you don't, and you just, you don't know how to assess what's going on in the world, in your environment, but you do know what money is. So we'll dangle a few dollars in front of you, and then we'll get your vote, and then we'll go in and do what we want to do. Don't sell. We cannot sell out like this, man. So it's why it's insulting for me to be this national conversation about the black man vote all of a sudden now, because you see us as that tool now to get yourself over the hump, regardless of where. And then who introduces this race or race and gender into the conversation?
Right. And why aren't we having a conversation about those that are going to vote for? The majority of his office, man, is voting for Kamala. I mean, Pence vote for Kamala. Cheney vote for Kamala. Right? A lot of Republicans have flipped. We're not talking about that, though, right? We're talking about the black man that hasn't voted. And who's the cavalry that's going to come? That cavalry needs to be us. I mean, we can't expect other people to do what we're not willing to do, right? So we should be out having forums, talking to these young kids, man, and telling them about how important the vote is. Getting them registered and getting them out.
Not only telling them why the vote is, because if they're not coming out, then we need to be finding out why. We need to be asking that question. That needs to be the question. And we need to allow people the space to talk and express why it is they feel the way that they do. They may say, hey, look, I just don't want to vote for her for X, Y, Z. Okay. That's their right. That's what they're free to do. And that's why I'm searching for a new barbershop, because it's hard to, like, I don't like being in echo chambers, because I don't think it's good for anybody to be in an echo chamber. It gets deafening after a while. And so we got to be able to have these uncomfortable conversations in these spaces, you know what I mean? And I'm saying this to people to, like, hey, look, engage people. You know what I mean? They may have you may not see their reason as legitimate, but they very well may see their reason as a legitimate, and you need to meet them there first.
Yeah. And again, my goal tonight is not to tell folks who to vote for. My issue was, why now is black men the national conversation? So I did a little research, and that's what I come with. Now, if we want to get into the specifics, I can tell you why I'm going to vote for who I'm going to vote for. There's no secret. And I can tell you why I'm not going to vote for the other person. There's no secret. That's what the individuals, regardless of whether male, female, black, or white, in the LGBT community or not, be able to articulate if you choose to do so. You don't have to, but when you tell me it doesn't matter, or this person here incarcerated, black men.
That's a lie that they tell too, and they stop a lot of brothers from coming to the poll because they have a felony, right? And if that case has been adjudicated and it's been done, and your felony does not involve election fraud or election crimes, you can vote in South Carolina.
Right.
If it hasn't even gone to court yet, you can vote in South Carolina. And the thing is just don't be stopped. Don't let these, like, golly, man.
Let me tell you what the confusion is now. So when you start talking about leadership, and I'll get a little more specific. So as you talk about your criminal record and those kind of things, and things that people, the rumor was that you can't vote because of, XYZ in terms of your criminal record or not. It gets confusing now because we have a candidate that has 34 felonies. It gets confusing for a soldier who knows that the president of the United States is the commander in chief. There are standards set there, that you have to follow, and that you, regardless of what level or rank you are in the military, if you have any rape charges, you are convictions, you have any theft, any of those things, you are, especially an officer, you are gone. So then how do you articulate this to a service member that you can have all these things going on, you can have all these character flaws, proven, but you're my commander in chief. You're going to send me off to war. You're going to tell me what right looks like. So then now you put these general officers and all of these leaders at those levels. Because if I'm a young troop right now who's aware of all things going on, I'm like, how can you hold me to this Uniform Code of Military Justice when our senior ranking commander has all of this?
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
You're talking about the morale. You're talking about the morale in because let me tell you something. Let me share this with you. So here's Lieutenant McCleary in Saudi Arabia preparing to go into war with a bunch of young, courageous Americans. This is true story. So we're sitting around. So of course, all the political and diplomatic and diplomacy and all the stuff going on to try to keep us from going in. But we're there ready to fight. We're preparing. We're training every day. So this night, I can't remember the night is that President Bush was going to make the decision based on things whether the this agreement was going to go through with Saddam Hussein. They're going to do X, Y, Z, and if not, then it was clear that we're going to kick off this war. So here I am with my troops around this radio on the top of a Humvee, listening at this announcement. So God bless his soul, General Powell had already gone and said, yes, there's these substance, this yellow cake, this factory where it's making these things, preparing for all the material to make these bombs that's going to kill so many people. It's in Iraq. The intelligence told him that. We're listening to this. So when General Powell spoke, he was a trusted agent, a Republican, but everybody loved and trusted him. So it didn't have anything to do with his political party. And when President Bush said that night, as we're standing there, we're going to war, me and my troops then racked up and we started getting our mind focused. That is what a commander-in-chief that you trust that's going to make. And again, I'm not talking party. He was a Republican too. But when the commander-in-chief is sitting at the top and that has complete authority over these federal forces to send them into war, again, of course, Congress got to vote on it. But sometimes we launch. Sometimes he make that decision to launch. So with an incredible amount of authority and power that he's now held to a different standard than I am, but he's my boss.
And so that's where people like me say that's why America has fallen, right? Because just exactly what you said. Now there's also a second and third order effect to those people who decided to prosecute this man for an inappropriate relationship he had with his whatever, and some clerical crimes. They did this, and so now you put these. This is the other position of it for me. Then you put these, because if he was a criminal and all this stuff, they should have did this the first time they did that. You know what I mean? They went through the impeachment, they found nothing. They went through this, they went through that. They still haven't brought any charges for January 6th. There's a lot of information from that day that goes opposed to that. This country is doomed. So it's both sides, and the pendulum is going to swing. So if he gets in there, it's going to be swinging the other way. It's going to be political persecutions. We are now a third world country, like when Saddam Hussein took office and got in there and did that night of the whatever and cleaned everybody out. I think that's where we at in this country now. I think I think both sides are so dug in that we're the people going to suffer, and it's going to be those troops again.
Yeah.
It's going to be those troops that you, like you said, that you took in the battle that's going to suffer. And now it's the black man's fault because the black man didn't vote for.
And I'll say this: I would say we are far from being a third world country. However, there are things that we do that is pretty common over there that says, okay, where are we going? We're still the strongest nation in this world.
Yeah.
We still are the superpower. But because of the divide and the toxicity at that level, it is making the bad guys a little bit more brazen. They're firing more missiles and testing things and capturing Americans and doing crazy stuff because they see the divide. And that's where we have to be united, mom and dad don't argue and fight in front of the kids. Take that to the room, because then now they're looking at you. There's a problem. So then at that level, we shouldn't be having these kind of discourse on that level that shows that we're so divided, because it encourages people like Vladimir. It encourages those people.
Vlad's tied up right now. Ukraine is he's a little tied up right now.
And
Again,
so when you got Major McCleary sitting over in London around other foreign officers, working on a UN training program in 2004, and listen to the conversation of our allies about how we go solo on things and not include them and those kind of things, it has a global effect. It has an impact on our economy. Everything that we consume here doesn't come from the United States. So if we're going to push our allies to the side and create relationships with our adversaries, guess what? That barrel of oil is going to go. See, we got to look deeper than this. It's more than just a domestic thing going on here. This is a global.
First of all, this is unfair. You talking from an international level. You bring it in. Butch, help me out here, bro.
I think he's on point. I think he's on point, and he's just using the military aspect of it. I'm coming from the children's aspect of it. Our children are seeing this too as well. Our children say, "I can commit a felony and be president." You know what I mean? What are we teaching our kids? Right? They're going to be the next generation that comes up behind us. So I just think that it's more important, man. I think we have to be out in the forefront, right? We have to educate our community about why it is important to vote.
It's the fine details. Okay, I'll be devil's advocate here. It's the finer details that people just kind of always overlook. Like when you look at the requirements, and this is something that the same way other people use these rules and to do what they need to do, I don't see why we don't do the same thing. There's no language in running for president. You look at what the requirements are and what are the disqualifications. Okay, you look at that and then you say, okay, well, can he run for president? And you have to say, yeah, I know what the optics look like. You know what I mean? I get that part, but that's why that's why he's running, because there's no language that says he can't. And maybe that's something to look at in the future, but that's where we are.
And I agree. There's something, because nobody's making the point, that all these 34 convictions, by a core of his peers. So it wasn't one person, one district attorney is, so then we got that. But to Butch's point and what I tried to say earlier, that's where we have to become informed. Okay. If the rules allow someone to run, then it is what it is. But then now you have that's the law and whatever, that's his constitutional right at this point. Nothing stops that. But then you go back then to the other guy who did time and was a felon, and he has to wait a period of time after he's done his time and all this before he can even vote, not holding the office. Come on. So it is what it is.
To America, baby.
It is what it is. But it gets
you got to be Don King for a minute there.
Hey, listen, man. I don't know what Lynn Richardson was doing in '72, but I know I came and I'm here, baby. Let's go. It's Viva Las Vegas.
And so you're right. So then that's where you get informed and make a decision. Where's your morals? Where's your moral compass? Yep. What do you want your president to be like? Right. Not only that, can this person then manage what's going on inside of this country and outside of it? You can't isolate. You can't choose one. You can, but we're making a grave mistake, and that's the bottom line. And so this is what. And again, I'm not. I got a master's degree and I went to school, but guess what? I came up just dirt poor. Like I know somebody's, middle class. No, I wasn't middle class. I was I was considered no class, if that, I'm sure. But I took the time. No one had to tell me. I had my family's solid moral ethics and love for one another, love for each other, your neighbor, regardless of what color skin or their gender. Be fair. Judge people to the content of their character, not the color of their skin. Some famous person said that. And I think that's where, if we're informed, we're going to make the right decision at every level of this thing. And knowing that who sit in a chair, or is at my level above, is going to have an impact in their life. We got to get out of this thing, man, that we're just voting for people because they're black, or we're just voting for them because they're white or Republican or Democrat. And I will tell you, it's the same thing going on both sides.
Yes.
It's just that we have gotten singled out.
Why? That's why we here.
That's
the answer to why somebody with that kind of thing going on is got that kind of popularity. That's what it is. People have dug in, like, you know what I mean. They've dug in. They've dug into their camps. We've gone tribal.
And I know this is probably not a popular analogy, but what's the difference in someone who is involved in sex trafficking than it is for someone who is now seeking just the black men? So if that's the business that you in, that's what you're going to go do. So protect yourselves out there, young ladies. Stay away from those people. Black men, if you get informed and vote for who you want to vote for, but do it based on what you know. Don't be a target, is what I'm trying to get after. Don't let someone out there stalk you, groom you,
intimidate you
to do something that you don't want to do. And I have to be that, direct, because it is a problem for me. It is a problem for me, the way these things are going up there, and then how it impacts us here. Because you got people around here now, because of what's going on at national level, not even speaking to each other. And you haven't done anything personal to them. I mean, I experienced that. It's okay, because I'm gonna do what I got to do regardless, for the people.
But that's ignorance. That's just where
that's
a level of ignorance. And when you ignore the facts, you become ignorant.
Yeah. When somebody tell me or say somebody's taking the black jobs.
What are black jobs?
What are black jobs?
What are they?
I don't know, but I know that there's a great replacement happening.
You just got put in a box.
And the work ethic, it's got to pick up. If not, the great replacement is going to continue, because there's communities that need to be built. There's things, and I don't know. We got to raise our kids to use their hands in order to be able to compete, because all of them ain't going to be able to be YouTube stars, or TikTok stars, or whatever, rappers, or whatever. And we gotta because that market is looking crazy. The construction market is looking crazy right now when it comes to those black jobs that you're talking about.
Yeah, that's Hey, Butch, what we did now, I'm shifting for a second here, but Butch also is heavily involved in his organization Hope, is again educating, bringing awareness to domestic violence. And that's all people, like, that's what I'm saying. What you do is not focused on just black women or black men who are victims to domestic violence.
So this is, I'm sorry, but this, and I'm not laughing. I'm sorry. I find humor where I probably shouldn't sometimes, but so this annoys you to no end, to know that the president might be.
Yeah. Well, it annoys me to no end too.
No, that's what I'm saying. I know. And, I at this point, I'm like, this is a simulation, man. This is some of the stuff that's happening. I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah. I mean, Butch has an annual bridge walk across the Ravenel Bridge. Yeah. You have the senior leadership politicians, law enforcement that are out there. And again, bringing awareness to domestic violence, and educating our, people. Educating people is what I'm saying, not black people, not white people, educating people on how to protect yourself, how to recognize this when before it happens, and then where the help could come from.
Yeah.
That's what he does. And and so I didn't want us to go um to go without letting that be known, because that is again, probably has nothing to I wasn't trying to associate that with any candidate, but I wanted to know what Butch does, in his spare time, which it seems like all the time, because
we're just getting in, man. We just did a training today for our youth, and they were like 15 and under, for the kids 15 and under. And that's what we talked about. Lisa and I talked about the domestic violence with them. These kids know it, man. They've seen it before. They've lived it, right? So that's the truth about our community.
And he also has a program, boys to men. Again, we're he's and so I'm trying to catch up with him with this program we have now through the track, because it's going to be guys like us to grab these kids and give them a shot, make them aware, expose them to something that maybe it clicks, and then later on they see, then they said, okay, I heard that before. Let me learn a little bit more about it, whether it's election, whether it's domestic violence, how you treat. It's just, we have to do that. We have to be engaged. And I appreciate you for what you do there, man, and what you brought to the town of Andrews and pretty much over the state of South Carolina.
Well, we getting ready to do something special here in Andrews too, man. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to being able to tell you all about it one day, so we can sit down and bring something like Boys to Men here, man. Because I think you have young men out here that need to be, have that conversation. We need to have that conversation, an open conversation. We have men sit down at the table and talking to our young boys, man. I remember as a young boy, my uncle would always say, "You would learn when you get older. You'll learn as you get older. You'll learn when you grow up." I'm like, man, just tell me now, man, so I don't have to make the same mistakes you make.
That's right.
That's our goal, man. We want to make sure that these kids aren't making some of the same mistakes that we made, and we've been successful at it. But we want to bring it here to Andrews, man, and we just need the family support to just give us a little bit of time with your sons, man. I know that everybody used to have the Boy Scouts here, but they don't have that no more. So let's just bring something like Boys to Men here, where we can bring the boys together and mentor to the young boys and pour into our young boys.
Yeah, we appreciate it. But we do have the Boy Scouts now, Mr. Brian Gary.
Right.
Yeah, and so that program is off and running. It's less than a year old, but that's working. We have the Girl Scouts here in Troop 2913. So yeah, there you go. So that's the former mayor of that's Tecklenburg.
Tecklenburg.
Yeah,
you're in a couple of them too, man.
Yeah, I try to get out there.
I think you've been in like the majority of them. I think. Well,
Yes,
this was year 9.
Yes, sir.
This
I was a
year
little
9.
late getting up there last time, but I ran across the bridge, tried to catch up.
Yeah.
But that's what's happening. And this is I think speaks to what I'm trying to articulate. The core of what we should be doing now is shaping and molding these young men, involving all of these young men and women, all of these things that are important, to include the importance of being, aware of what's going on in the political arena.
So we can get off that list. So they get
so they get off that most wanted list right now. And I guarantee you, for those who are buying into this narrative right now, after November 6th or November 5th, you're not going to hear anything, and you're going to be standing there alone. Trust me.
Yeah.
What's up with the black man?
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, it's been real, man.
Yeah, I know you got early call.
I just got in, man, and I got to do some stuff here around here, man. It's always great talking to you guys.
All right,
absolutely, brother.
All right, man. Y'all be good, man. And I definitely will hook up with you guys later.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, man. So oh man.
What's
hey,
up?
Any updates on the situation out there in I keep wanting to say Deerwood, but Black River Mobile Home Park?
Yeah, the cleanup has already happened. So we, again, a little bit, everything has politics involved in it. They've cleaned up. Let me see what Angela's talking here. Andrea.
She talking about a great replacement. Hold on, let me see. I got to pull this. Let's see. The replacement will come to work and I'm even gonna have a ride to work. Sound like you've been in management somewhere.
Check in, lay out, and pay out. I tell
Hey,
you.
listen, Elon just introduced the robots the other day. I'm checking on them one like that's a conversation like yeah.
Which
But
one?
they say every third generation loses it all, you know what I mean? Because it gets too easy. And then they just kind of, just let it go back and start
Hey,
over, I guess.
hey, don't. Yeah, we need to get up, and get on board, man, and don't allow yourself to be um, used by anybody.
No, don't
I
be
don't
a
like
sucker,
that.
a
Yeah,
political sucker, a street sucker. My uncle used to tell me it's okay to be cool, but don't be no damn cool fool.
yeah, that's not okay. So let's we take personal responsibility for all things, and then let's move out, do what's right, man. But don't. I wish one of these cats would call me about this, man. It's going to be a problem. it's going it's going to be a problem, you know.
But yeah, to for anybody that's listening out there in Black River Mobile Home, has there been I got some pictures where they cleaned up where they cleaned up the lift station. Looks pretty good. But is there any update? Have you heard
Yeah.
anything?
So one of my guys is checking on it every day. So today he went out and all of that's. I think the overflow has stopped. I'm not sure how that is, and because he said he didn't hear the motor, the pump running. And I said, well, if it's not running, it's not pumping, it's not going anywhere. So I don't know what has happened. We'll investigate a little bit closer tomorrow, but it's no longer on the ground and flowing into the wood line.
Mm.
And I haven't heard from any of the residents over there. I'd be glad to talk to them. But what we're going to do is get Williamsburg County involved because there's a next step to this thing that we're trying to look at a solution that's going to um, improve this situation over there for the people for long term. And we'll see how the two governments see this path. How we're going to get there from here, because the conditions are not good, as we all know. It's off the beaten path, so it's in Williamsburg County, but has an Andrews address, but it's in Williamsburg County. So then, um, in terms of patrols and those kind of things, and we talked briefly about the ambulance situation that affects us. It also affects them because there's no ambulance um, close to them, coming from Williamsburg County. So I'm not so sure if there's an agreement between the two counties that they would respond to incidents in Deerwood or anything, a couple miles, west of the county line road. So all of that stuff concerns us.
And after sitting in on that conversation the other night, that's a scary place. I mean, being on a county line, like right at the outer edge of a county, like I mean, that's you kind of in limbo,
Yeah,
and it's that's something that if you're moving, you need to really consider about when you move into an area, especially if you're somebody that has medical issues, or what I mean, or a child or a parent or whoever has medical issues. One of the first things you need to figure out is the ambulance cover. I saw two ambulances almost run into each other on the Walk-On Neck the other day, and I'm not joking. I'm not being slick or whatever. And I mean that must be really good, you know what I mean? But it was Merle's Inlet. I guess they got their own deal, and then and Georgetown County, like literally almost ran into each other. Two ambulances.
well, and and it's a good point you made in terms of how you decide where you're going to move, but it's the responsibility, in my opinion, of the government at every level to make those decisions that's going to provide that coverage, because obviously the people can't provide their own ambulance, and or fire protection. So it should be us at every level saying, okay, do we have coverage, medical, fire, and protection for these folks? So it should be a cross county conversation, and then people should be able to move where they feel comfortable and know that if there's an emergency, someone's going to be in a reasonable time. That's on us. But we get so caught up into what tax dollars are going where and this jurisdiction and fight that the people that we're here to serve are underserved. I mean, it's to me, it's a simple thing. Let's meet and talk. How do we cover these people? We have a population of X, Y, Z, or we got a population over here that are, an aging community, dialysis place and all this, who is covering what and when, and how do we cover the cost? It's that simple. And let's do what leaders are supposed to do. Make the decision that's going to take care of the people. But we will not do that. Everybody stays in their own little cubby hole and make decisions that's only going to probably have a positive impact on a small percentage of the people they serve.
Unless it's election time.
Unless it's election time, and then you get categorized as a black man. Let me get your vote.
You become important all of a sudden. Now there's all these little treats that come out. And,
yeah, you can tell I'm irritated with this mess.
Yeah, it's
we're just the latest. It was women at one point. I mean, you go back and look at it, and again, I understand the strategy, but don't let yourself become that individual or that group of people that's going to be subject to this kind of these kind of insults. So do what we're supposed to do up front and be consistent with it, and then make it hard for the politicians to earn your vote.
And that's that. And to anybody that's considering going into politics, obviously not in this cycle right here, I would highly encourage you to take time and make it like a college program, like you're going to study, you know what I mean? But between the time it comes for you to put your name on the ballot, make sure you know exactly what it is. You know what I mean? You're why you're there. You know what I mean? And it gives you that amount of time should give you enough time to see that and understand that it's not about that particular situation that brought you to county right then, but it's a bigger picture to the whole, to the whole thing. And that's just for anybody that's planning on getting involved in politics. Take it seriously. People's lives are in the balance, and a lot of future for the kids and everything is in the balance.
Yeah, I mean, like for me, I know the candidate that I'm supporting has a bachelor's degree economics, another degree in political science, an attorney, has been elected on multiple levels, and very educated. So I get offended too when you say that someone is stupid, but they've accomplished all of these things or dumb. I have a problem with that. I just have a problem with it. And again, it's another one of the part of the narrative. This is keep people separated, to isolate, and say, I've met some pretty strong women of all walks of life who can run circles around men.
I haven't met this lady yet, but I want to meet the mayor of Lake City, South Carolina. This is a lady who is, and it's not even, just forget the lady part. This is a mayor who is doing her job, who happens to be a woman, but she's doing her damn job, doing a good job at it, and got demoted for no reason other than we want to exercise power over you.
Yep. That's what her council did. They took her from full-time to part-time, changed her salary. And again, I think legally they can't do it, but I'm sure they'll hopefully she will get the attorneys involved. But that's what it did. And it's all just because they don't like her. But when you look at $13.4 million coming in for infrastructure and all these things that she only has done in the 2 years that she's been sitting in that position, and no one can give a reason. Did she not do this, or she violated? What did she do? No, it's just that's what you have. You put an ordinance in place, and I think that's where we all get confused too. Just because you can vote on an ordinance at this level, you have to make sure that it's not superseding state and federal laws. It just can't. That can't happen. And so I think this is the case. I got another situation where another friend of mine, they have another ordinance that says you if you're going to run for this position, although you still have 2 years in the current seat as a councilman, you can't run from you have to resign from your seat as a councilman to run for mayor. That's not true.
But when people don't come and hold elected officials, when they don't come and see this stuff, when it's being planned, and you don't come get involved or send a representative, however you got to get this information, it's on you, because these are elected officials that pass these ordinances.
Well, hey, thank God for AI and Google. All you have to do is ask your question, and they're going to tell you.
Yeah.
They're going to give you that 95% solution on your state. Can this happen? And it will quote the laws, all of this stuff. So it's at our fingertips. So it's frustrating again to say we're not informed. We don't know what's happening when it's right there. I bet we'll figure out if there's if we want to be somewhere, we'll figure out how to get there.
Hey, I said, like the town administrators say, that's what you call willfully misinformed. Like you willingly, you don't want to know the right answer. You just want to complain,
Yeah, you want to get from point A to point B, and you don't know off the top of your head to get there. You're going to Google it. You're going to GPS it. Do the same thing for navigating your way through politics and the laws and things of the particular state or in this country. It's right there in writing, man. So don't just listen to these popular news show to get your information, or your neighbor who may not know.
You gotta do some work at this point. You gotta do some work at this point. Yeah. I mean, the media is totally compromised on both sides. It's either leaning heavy left or it's leaning heavy right, and you're going to have to do your due diligence as a and a lot of times is when you hear somebody say, well, they said this and they said that. You can go to C-SPAN and pull unedited speeches and listen and get context for yourself, and it is that important, especially down on
check different sources. Don't believe one source. Check it all out, because history in history books could have been a lie told by somebody who just have the ability to put a book together. Cross reference. And then use your you apply some common sense to whatever it is, and I think it'd be okay. It just don't allow ourselves to be, regardless of who you're, black man, white man, don't be used for people's political or personal agenda. Go into it knowing that this is really what you want, and understanding the risk associated with it, and make the best informed decision. I think we'll be okay. So I'll back off of the. I think I'm feeling a little bit better now. I look forward to any follow-up conversations, because it's going to go on. Yeah. And I think we need to keep this on the forefront, not just, I'm not specifically about any particular race or gender. It's just about politics and the impacts it have on people's lives at all levels.
Well, because it does have an impact, and people say, oh, no, it ain't. Hey, man, that ain't gonna affect me. And at that point, when people say that, then you're a slave. That's what you are at that point. Anybody that says that, that's basically what you are. You just can't do nothing about it. All right, cool. You're right. You know what? You're right.
Any comments out there? I can't see any of the comments on this thing.
Nah, everybody was kind of, I was
listening at me rant.
It's all good. Mr. Chris Robinson right there was in the building today.
Yes, Chris from Sampit.
Yep.
All right. What do you say? We need to talk about this?
Yep.
What part?
I got lost in there.
Okay.
Yeah, I got lost in there somewhere.
Yes. Chris is up on his game now. He's up on the politics, especially at the county level. And I'd be, very interested to hear what's on Chris' mind or anybody else. And we're going to be down in Sampit and Santee, myself and Mr. Cooper, to have some local conversation with the folks as we move closer to this into this election. And that'll probably be this week, next week, down in Greentown. We'll be down in Grave Station. What is that? Spring Gully. So we're on the way.
Yeah. So town hall meeting this Thursday, right?
Thursday night.
6
p.m.
Thursday
night, 6 p.m.
I was already told I got to be there.
Yeah,
it's all good. You know, when the when the pro tem, you know what I mean? This is weeks ago. So I'm like, cool. As long as you give it to me ahead of time.
Yeah.
It's better for me. So yeah, I look forward to that. Definitely.
Excellent.
But hey, man, good talk. Good conversation. Again, I think, we not so much on the politics as far as the national, who's who, but our role and how we got in this position and how do we get out of this position is the conversation. I think, it's definitely got to be had again.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. And if we,
I
look forward to it.
All right, so I'll end that out now, man. Y'all have a good night. Make sure y'all hit that follow button. If you would, please go over to, there's a link in the live stream, in the live feed to the Andrews the Podcast store. Good.
Hi, my name's Angela Bass. I live in North Litchfield Beach. I have great concerns about the ordinance that was passed, 2243. Regrettably, when looking back at previous minutes and agenda items, it was presented first to council in December 13th, yet there was no hyperlink so that no citizen could pull up the 3-page document that discussed penalties and punishments for citizens who presumably have gotten out of line when trying to state their opinion at a county council meeting. Additionally, the minutes that said the presentation of the ordinance to be read for the first time never appeared in the actual minutes of what happened during the council meeting, which would imply that perhaps the first reading did not meet the measure and the letter of the law. It certainly doesn't meet the spirit of the law. There's a lot to be said and a lot of freedom to punish people if they misspeak when they come to a council meeting, and I find that very concerning for every citizen of Georgetown County.